Hey guys, we're here to talk about episode 4, A New Hope. It goes a little long, so we are going to split this into 2 episodes. I hope that's okay with you. If you're Patreon, you can get it all in full, but
all of it.
Yeah, 2 episodes. It deserves it.
It does.
Jinx.
Can't say a word, can you? Hey, if you think I'm handsome, don't say anything. Derek thinks I'm handsome.
All right.
Pittsburgh, you owe me some wings.
I said his name.
Oh.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
How do you do that?
That's right.
Do what?
Here we are, Star Wars, Episode 4, A New Hope.
Or just Star Wars, depending
just
who you
Star
ask.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? When it made, you guys want to guess? Do you know how much money it made?
I don't know, but who
on
are
its
you?
first run?
On its first run,
Oh,
no.
I'm
I
Derek.
mean, I'm Jack.
And I'm Whitney.
You guys know that, right?
Yeah. You clicked on us.
I'm C3 Derek. P.O.
I'm the bondage one.
R2 Jack 2.
But yeah, on its first run, you know how
We're
much money
talking
it
about like its first run in theaters
Yeah.
before it got re-released and all that. Oof. Fuck.
Well, this is what they were saying in 1977, from what I read.
I
'Cause
mean,
at first I was like, this has got to be like a number of like added
270 million.
Wife.
It's going to be over that, by the way. This is the highest grossing independent movie of all time.
In 1978.
In 1977.
1977 money, America or worldwide?
Worldwide. Or
Worldwide?
America. Either way.
I mean, they're two different numbers,
Yeah,
aren't they?
I know. Give them to me. Go.
Okay, the 3 million,
3 million.
300 million
How'd this thing get sequels?
worldwide.
So it cost 11 million.
Right.
Yeah.
Opening weekend, it made 1.5 million. Worldwide, it made $775.4 million
Fuck.
on 11 million.
That's why it'll never be touched as the highest grossing independent movie.
I first saw that and I was like, that's got to be like with re-releases and like added together, adjusted for inflation or something. And so I went up and looked it up separately. That was in 1977.
Talking about like $1.50
Wow.
a ticket kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
That's insane.
461 million domestic. So then 300 and whatever the rest is.
I mean, this movie changed cinema.
Yeah.
Like, for better or worse, it changed
Yeah.
cinema.
Jack and I are looking at each other through your.
I don't
You
adjust
moved it down.
You
I
moved
did move it down. Okay, sorry. Is that better?
No, you're fine. It was just a cool, like, I felt like a spy, except everybody could see me. It's like, oh, my cat thinks she's hiding. I'm like, just your eyes are hidden. I can see your entire fucking body.
If you don't move, they can't see you. Ah, wrong franchise. But
You need
yeah,
a hood up. If you put a hood up, they can't see you.
yeah, that's
If you
right.
go
This
like
is
this.
Star Wars camouflage.
Where did Jack go?
This was
I don't see Jack. Jack disappeared.
this was the first movie to make over 300 million domestic and the first movie to cross 500 million worldwide on its initial release.
Yikes.
Yeah. So I have some factoids.
Just to think, though, that
But I
George
just
Lucas had to
screenshotted them.
pitch this shit out to people. Like,
Oh,
just,
yeah.
it's a weird thing to think of because now Star Wars is even these like the sequel trilogies, they still made money
Yeah.
a lot.
I mean, he thought this was going to be a failure.
Yeah,
So did all of his friends except for Steven Spielberg.
a lot of the people working on it, a lot of these guys, because they're like, we're making a fantasy movie. Like, this is supposed to be for like adults and young children, or like young adults. This doesn't make sense. We're taking it way too seriously.
So and this is like IMDb trivia stuff, but I've heard versions of these stories over the years, so I'm going to assume they're mostly true. But apparently before this came out, he showed a rough cut to a group of director friends, including like Steven Spielberg, Brian De Palma, Francis Ford Coppola, all these guys. Effects weren't done, so he just had like war footage, like stock war footage in place of the effects, because a lot of this, the dog fights and stuff, it's
Taken from
World War
World War II movies.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, footage.
So he showed that to them, and most of them the response was basically like, "What were you thinking?" Brian De Palma reportedly called it the worst movie ever. And Steven Spielberg was the only one. He's like, "This is gonna be the biggest movie of all time. It's gonna make millions of dollars." And and even George Lucas said that everybody kind of looked at him and was like, "Poor Steven."
The man knows. The man released the movie that coined the term blockbuster.
Yeah.
So he knows. And I've said this in other episodes, but it's specifically this episode 4, A New Hope, was the first movie to be dubbed over in Navajo.
Yes.
Oh, I remember the other thing was George Lucas thought this movie was going to do so badly that when it came out, he didn't go to the premiere. He went to Hawaii with Steven Spielberg, and they came up with the idea for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, there's a story about there's a book I read called How Star Wars Took Over the Galaxy, and that's how I learned the Navajo thing. And really fun, like just behind the scenes, what the effect of Star Wars was on people. And he didn't even know it was a hit when he got back. He was working with his, at the time, wife, who was an editor, doing something else. And when they went to get like food, they just saw a line around the Chinese theater, like, "What's that for?" And like, "It's for Star Wars." He's like, "Still?"
It's insane, really. You're just like, "Yeah, I made this movie. I put a lot of work into it, but who fucking cares?"
I made I used $11,000. If I can just,
11 million.
11 million.
Sorry, 11 million. If I can make,
that'd be even crazy.
if I can make $11 million back, I'd be really happy.
Yeah. Opening weekend, we only made $1 million, guys. I don't think we're
Yeah.
doing this.
It's not looking good.
Yeah, but how many people went back to watch it again?
Oh,
and
that's-
again
That's the thing.
and
Nobody
again?
nobody wanted to see it until like this type of nerd went to you guys who were normal people at the time. Like, "You gotta watch this Star Wars." I'm not a fantasy or sci-fi guy. You gotta watch this Star Wars.
Yeah.
You gotta see this.
Do you have any idea how much this franchise has made to date,
Oh.
starting with this movie?
Billions.
All the movies and toys and merchandise.
As of 2025,
A
the
gorgillion.
franchise, so I'm assuming they mean box office.
Okay. Oof.
A gorgillion?
It's gonna
It's
be.
close.
It's gonna be about 23 billion.
Less than that.
Okay.
Only 10.32 billion.
I was trying to, because he sold it all for 4 billion.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I think this is just box office. This isn't including toys and TV
Right.
shows.
Because
and-
he gets the money for the toys, right?
Well, he gets a lot of it. Yeah, that's a famous thing. We've talked about it before. He gave up his director's fee to help save money on the movie in exchange for toy rights.
Which at the time was unheard of and probably a stupid maneuver,
Yeah.
but it was not.
He had a thought.
And this also, I mean, like you said right at the top, this changed cinema.
Mm-hmm.
It changed a lot of things in cinema. Like, a lot of these people went on to do crazy things. Like, all these visual effects and makeup people. We've talked about a lot of these guys before. Rick Baker was the head like makeup effects guy. Ricky Baker? No, not that Rick Baker. We talked about him because he did makeup effects on Batman Forever, but don't hold that against him.
Yeah, he's just trying to get paid, dude.
He also did like The Howling, American Werewolf in London, Videodrome, Altered States, all kinds of crazy shit. Dan O'Bannon, who was one of the big visual effects guys, he's the guy who wrote Alien and Aliens.
Mhm.
He worked with John Carpenter on his first movie, Dark Star. Phil Tippett did all the stop motion animation, which is some of the coolest stuff in here. And he's gone on to do, we talked about him on Tremors 2. He did all the RoboCops, House 2, Temple of Doom, Jurassic Park. You may have heard of it.
Yeah, it made a little bit of money.
Jurassic Park?
I'm trying
Yeah,
to
not
think.
Jurassic World, the
Jurassic
prequels.
Do you have the name of the other, besides Ralph McQuarrie, there's another concept designer,
I don't.
something Johnson. I will look it up.
Joe Johnson?
Joe Johnson.
I saw his name in there
Yeah,
and it sounded
pretty-
familiar. No,
Pretty
it's-
sure Joe Johnson is correct.
And I was scrolling through the IMDb credits, and there's a whole bunch of uncredited people because they're people who played, aliens and whatnot.
Yeah.
And most of them are just these visual effects guys. They're in these costumes and doing all this stuff. But I have another little fun fact for you, Jack. We probably talked about it, but this was
it is Joe Johnson.
This was on Bad Movies Worst People, the second episode you were on.
No.
So you wouldn't remember.
God, no.
I didn't remember if we talked about it. The director of photography on this particular movie, Gilbert Taylor, he was also a DP on Flash Gordon, which isn't a surprise, but he was the director of photography on Voyage of the Rock Aliens.
I was what? Because as soon as you said my second episode, I was like, well, it's got to be Voyage.
Yeah.
No wonder that movie's so fucking good.
It's because Kiker rules.
Kiker does rule.
Kiker did not, unfortunately, work on Star Wars.
Nah, he would have been a way baby.
Not really. He was doing Voyage of the Rock Aliens. That was only 10 years later.
Oh, I guess so. I
He's
think
probably
I
an
just saw
adult.
it recently, so it's got to be new. No, I wanted to bring up the concept artists like Joe Johnson and Ralph McQuarrie because they don't get enough praise. George
Yeah.
Lucas is the one that's like, hey, I have an idea for I have an idea for a real scary bad guy, and then they draw him for him.
Yeah.
You know, like we end up not seeing it until episode 3, but like Mustafar and Vader's castle, all that was just Ralph McQuarrie's concept design that didn't get used for this.
Oh, okay.
What else was it? Well, I guess that you wouldn't know. It's the Clone Wars cartoon. They reuse a bunch of his original Boba Fett designs as other Mandalorian armor.
Well, and I mean,
Protectorate.
on all the newer movies we've been doing for this so far, because it's all out of order.
Yeah.
All those ships are original designs, like the Star Destroyer with the huge tractor beam
Mhm.
from Andor and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Like that's all original Ralph McQuarrie
There's
stuff.
a blockade runner. The name will not come to me, but it was supposed to be the original Millennium Falcon. You know, because George's like, well, it's got to be fast. It's a smuggling ship. It's got to be a sleek blade.
They were actually talking about that 'cause when you came over. I had the movie on again with the 1993 Laserdisc commentary on there, and
What a Chad.
whatever guy was on there, 'cause he didn't introduce himself. He was talking about it was supposed to be the blockade runner, which he was talking about it right at the beginning, so I'm assuming they're talking about like Leia's ship.
That could easily be it.
But that was supposed to be the Millennium Falcon, and then they were like, or Han Solo's
if
ship.
it's not that one, maybe it was the Hammerhead from Rogue One, the one that pushes the
Yeah.
ship. It could be one of those.
I just assumed because the commentary, that was one of the first things he talked about. And he's like, we were going to use the blockade runner, but we used the Millennium Falcon because it had more personality,
Mm-hmm.
and good for them because it did.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we talked on the very first episode of Han Took Shots First extensively about George Lucas and how he is not a director or a people person.
Or a dialogue artist. I think we call it a writer. Sorry. I am good with mouth talking.
Because this is written and directed by George Lucas, one of the few Star Wars properties that
And
he
some of the
wrote
best
and directed.
some of the best lines are improv. Like
Oh, yeah.
Han Solo's whole thing
I love it.
in the
When he's
detention
like,
level.
everything's okay. Don't worry about it.
How are you?
how are you? Don't send help. Yeah, because I don't know if you know the quote, but he went to George Lucas and he's like, look, you can write this shit, but you can't say this shit.
Yeah.
Like just his dialogue was so bad. Because he's also, what did you say? Flash Gordon. He's watching serials like Flash Gordon as a little kid and he's trying to recreate that. And he's not a good writer. So he's just kind of emulating.
Yeah.
And it's like Han was going to be this big, just rough and tough. Well, he is rough and tough, but more over the top with his lingo, like just braggadocious and
Machismo.
and
kind of thing.
machismo. Yeah.
I like what he did with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently, like, the actors all said that George Lucas was not very communicative,
Uh-huh.
surprisingly. We saw the prequels.
Do you
Yeah.
think he's autistic?
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Oh, no, most definitely. I mean, he does not know how to deal with people. He even says it. Like that I recommend How Star Wars Took Over the Galaxy as a book. It's really good. Has a lot of the thing you were talking about with him showing the film to his friends, points of view, his ex-wife and shit like that. And she talks about it. She's like, he's just much more comfortable working with machinery than he is with people.
Okay.
He wasn't very loving to her. He wasn't abusive or anything. He's just cold and like, I don't know what to do with you looking at me like that.
I have to make eye contact with my own bust while we fuck. We had a whole thing about that on another episode. He has a bust of himself. and-
Yeah.
Was I on that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was an earlier one.
Yeah, he busts inside of it.
Oh my god.
He busted his bust.
Was that episode 1? Because that's when it would be Attack of the Clones when they're going through the hall and it has a bust of Count Dooku.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the bust of George Lucas. Can you put a fuck hole at the bottom?
I vaguely remember hearing
I
about
love
it.
that guy.
Once I talked about putting a fuck hole in
Yeah.
the bottom, it really
Yep,
jogs the
then
memory.
it really jogged the memory.
Gotcha.
But apparently he just kept telling, like, the only things he really told people was either do it faster or do it more intense.
Yeah,
As a director?
give him,
So he lost his voice at one point.
Do it better.
I was gonna say,
It's
give
like
the old David
but
Lynch. Yeah.
He's not as good of a
Okay,
director.
good job. Now do it again, but better.
Do it again, guys, but better this time.
Rest in
He sounds
pictures.
like a young Stan Lee.
He kind of does. Even when he was old, though. But apparently when he lost his voice at one point, they just gave him a board that had 2 sides, and it was faster and more intense. So
And that
he could
was-
just flash that at them.
And those were his favorite days of shooting. That's smart, though.
He meant it. He's got the sign. It's supposed to say more intense, and he's like, faster.
Oh shit! Damn it! That doesn't look good.
I just realized my arm.
That's great.
It's
Yeah,
one of
we've
those,
t-
"Do you
we
want a
do.
pickle?"
I don't think we need to go back through all the inspirations that we've talked about before. Dino World, Hidden Fortress. This is ridiculous, man.
Sorry.
I feel like this is fucking Regis and Kathy Lee, except the host is the one being normal. The guest is the one being normal.
You're the host. I'm the guest.
Well, not according to this seating.
I'm sitting.
I should be passing him the pickle.
I have to sit in the corner.
I should be sitting
She's
there.
the guest. She's
Yeah.
in the middle. The hosts sit on either side.
Oh, great! Now
I
I'm
get
like
tag
Andy
teams.
Richter.
It's a guest
Yes.
sandwich.
Oh my god.
No, I'd be Andy Richter.
Couple of
It's your
wa-
show.
couple
You're-
of white
you're the
breads.
redhead.
Oh, I'm
You're
Conan.
Conan.
All right, sweet. I've always
He's the
wanted to be.
awkward one.
Yeah. Well, on this podcast, it's all of us.
Not me. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just gonna play with my pickle now.
One more little thing before we get into the whole thing was I want to talk about R2D2 because he's clearly
Kenny
foul-mouthed,
Baker.
right?
Kenny Baker is
Yes.
the
But like
actor's name,
he's clearly foul-mouthed. He's
Oh,
running
yeah.
around saying all kinds of
Yeah,
shit that
you
you can't
watch your
understand.
language.
I
Well,
think
apparently, in earlier drafts of the script, he could speak standard English or basic.
Uh huh.
And he had a rather foul vocabulary, according to the thing I found here. So even though they changed R2's speech to beeps and boops, they didn't change C-3PO's reactions to what he was saying. So that way you still know. Like when they're going down to the planet here at the beginning, and he's like, "Is this thing safe?" He's probably like, "Fuck if I know."
I don't.
And R2 and
Look, I
C-3PO's
fucking
like,
built this
"Oh."
shit. Oh, bother.
That I love that so much more now.
Absolutely. It's the same dynamic with Han and Chewie, where Chewie just like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." Han's like, "You said it, pal."
But,
Like, I love that. I don't need an explanation.
Yeah.
I'm using my imagination.
Yeah.
because when they're recording, dude is actually talking to
Peter
him.
Mayhew,
Yeah.
by the way. Rest
Thank
in
you.
pictures.
And
Rest in
apparently,
pictures.
Peter Mayhew and is it Donald Prowse?
David.
David Prowse. Thank you. Were basically both offered
Or
roles.
Prowse. I can't remember how he pronounced it.
It's PRW, so I always said Prowse.
PRWSE. Yeah, Prowse sounds better.
But apparently they were both offered roles, and basically George Lucas was like, "Well, one of you can be Chewbacca, and one of you can be Darth Vader because
Yeah.
they both need to be big."
And Prowse thought that he was going to be the voice and eventually face of Vader. He was not
We do see his face a little bit in this, at least in this 4K version I have.
in the TIE, in
in
the
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 fighter.
TIE
The
Fighter.
fighter, yeah. Oh, yeah,
can
you
see
see-
right
You
through
see it a
this.
couple times when
Uh-huh.
he's when it's just like not
hey,
necessarily
that's
a
his
side
non-bird
view,
side.
Well, I-
but you can see in and you can see
Uh-huh.
And I never
wet name.
realized until we talked about it on Obi-Wan that the lenses were even red. Because I mean, but until I got these sweet ass
You-
4K things, I watched it on VHS.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't see that.
So it looks black,
Mhm.
just like everything else. But
Mhm.
they are red. And when he's in the TIE Fighter, you can see his eyes. And I was like, well, those don't look burned.
Not only do you have it in 4K, but it's also unspecialized.
Yeah, so the despecialized, 100% legal 4K.
yeah,
edition.
money went to charity. I'm a
Yeah.
philanthropist.
Look, I donated money to St. Jude's,
Mhm.
and I got these discs in return. So
Oh, yeah.
fuck you.
St. Jude's, give
We
me
don't-
Star Wars.
So let's get into Star Wars.
You want to dive into this sexy
Look at that
picture?
original sexy poster.
It is sexy.
That is pretty sexy.
Like I was looking for
That's
posters.
definitely a brother and sister.
Yeah, yeah. But like, I was looking for the poster, and I kept seeing all these other, and they're original run posters or like early run, like
Yeah.
re-releases and stuff. But this artwork is fucking amazing.
Yes. Do you have the name of the artist? Because I don't.
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah, it took me. I literally found it right before you got here.
Oh,
Like it
okay.
took me so long just to find the real original poster.
I had reprints of this up in my house of all the original trilogy. I mean, these are some of my favorite things. As soon as you look at it, you know you're in for an epic.
Yeah.
Whether you know anything about Star Wars at all, you look at this.
It gives me Dune vibes.
Well, it kind of should.
What?
Yeah.
They're- Look, they're not related in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I will say this:
I never
Spice
read
had
Dune, dude.
Spice had almost nothing to do with this movie. Like as we've talked about how what he stole
yeah, it was
from Dune.
moisture.
But no, he says Spice is only mentioned twice here. Once is my father was a spice runner, and the other one is C-3PO or somebody to 3PO says you're going to be sent to the
The Spice
Spice
Mines
Mines
of
at
Kessel.
Kessel. So I think at this point it's just George like, hey, that Dune book was really fucking cool. I'm gonna throw a little bit of that in there.
Yeah, and
It's
I don't
the
think
expanded
it's
universe
stealing
that
so much
takes
as nod.
that takes spice to a different level,
Yeah,
where it starts to become spice like Dune, where it's like I can do shit now,
yeah.
especially that glitter spice.
Is that the one in Boba Fett? Or was it
No,
Boba
that's
Fett?
the more drug spice. Like that's like the I don't remember the names of it, but that's like opium spice.
Okay.
How
The
many
glitter-
spices are there?
11 different spices. Coming to you from a galaxy real close, because we got 34 million locations across this known galaxy. Have you ever been stranded on Tatooine and thought, what am I going to eat? 11 spices. Not all 11 at once, though. You must sign something before you eat that.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right.
Wash it
Let's
down with
talk
some
about this
Jawa
movie.
juice.
So we start with the things that, I mean, we aren't going to go through it obviously real step by step because you've probably seen it, unless you're my wife or our friend Ty.
Yeah, I hope Ty's watching this because he did such a good job of hiding this fact from me for years. And he said he's hidden it from everybody. He just like a year ago finally saw all the Star Wars films. The man is about my age. Like he's probably a couple years. He's probably about 40 years old, and he just now watched them.
This
That's
is probably
insane.
the third time I've seen it.
That's a little insane to me because this is the third time I've seen it this year.
It's
It's
still
January.
January.
It's January.
It is the last couple of days of January. I said this before. This movie gets put on my house like 4 times a year. It doesn't mean we're always watching it, but it's on because you
Yeah.
can do this drunk conversation, and then when somebody gets up for a beer, you're like, oh.
When I went to do a screen video capture of the opening scroll for the Patreon version of this video, because I can't include it in the regular 'cause copyrights and whatnot. I opened up Star Wars on my streaming app, which I would usually pop in the disc.
Sure.
I'd hit play and it was like an hour and 6 minutes in.
Mhm.
I was like, well, I apparently watched it on here one night.
Why not?
Yeah, that was honestly, I think you did it just a month and a half
I think
ago.
I was waiting for my 4K discs to come and I was like, I want to watch it now.
Was it hard to not get up and pop in episode 5? Because
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet. Despecialized, like this is my second time watching this despecialized 4K beautiful masterpiece.
This is my first time watching it.
Yeah,
It looks so good. It doesn't have the Jabba scene,
Yes.
which is just great.
I didn't get to watch that video I sent to you guys because we watched this right before you
Oh,
came
I watched
over.
it. It's awesome. Like, so I don't really understand though, because it shows you.
Because there was supposed to be a scene in here. That's the one, the original
Right.
1977 with just a fat guy. Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they didn't have it. You don't need it. Did you know that what scene we're talking about?
I do, because when we first started dating, I was like, you know what? Let's watch them. Let's watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I mean, you don't have to watch 1, 2, 3.
Well, it was because it was right before 7 came out. Was
Yeah.
what it was.
So-
She was like, well, I need to watch them because I haven't really seen them. And I was like, no, it's not. You can't. You've seen them a lot.
Yeah.
You've seen them
to.
at least 100 times.
You live in
right?
America, right?
You're human?
You're human. You got 2 ears, two eyes, and a heart.
I did a lot of drugs.
Me too. 2 Star Wars.
What were you doing? Yeah, what were you doing while you were doing drugs?
Not watching movies.
But anyway, the scene is
Socializing?
right. Like Han's getting talking with people.
Yeah.
Weirdo. Han's getting to the Millennium Falcon and gets stopped by Jabba and his thugs.
I remember that. Because when he showed it to me,
We had to watch
so
the
many
Disney
years
Plus
ago.
versions or whatever was.
No, it wasn't. You had
probably just a Blu-ray copy.
Yeah, you had the Blu-rays or something.
So on that is
okay.
the really crappy digitally done
and
Jabba.
it is crappy. You see Jabba.
The
waddling up
original
to
is
the
this
Falcon.
heavy set Irish guy with furs on. He's like,
Okay.
oh, Han Solo, you owe me some money there. Yeah, you'll see it right here.
I'm just going to show you. And so the top left is the original. The top right is the original re-release. And then the bottom right is the re-release on DVD or
Mhm.
Blu-ray. And then the bottom left is some fan version.
Yeah, where it has like a projector being
Yeah.
carried. I like it.
But it was I remember seeing, the first time I saw that scene, obviously, was in the re-release theater. This is the only one I saw in the theatrical re-release. Because I watched it and I was so disappointed I didn't go back and watch the other 3.
It's
or other
like
2.
not even on this one, right?
No, not
No,
at all, because
no.
it's not in
Okay.
the original movie. So when I went and watched this in theaters, when they did the 1997 re-release, was
Mhm.
it?
Sounds right.
So I was like, okay, obviously they had something going on here. I didn't know that it was a human
Yeah.
standing there. But like there's a part where Han Solo walks around Jabba and like steps on his tail and steps over him.
They do a South Park-esque job of like just picking up his image and like.
Yeah, it looks so like bad.
Janky.
It's just as bad as the Greedo shooting first thing, where it just looks like someone went in and just they have Han sitting there doing his like leaning back casual thing, and then they just have this really bad like someone took his image and just tilted it, so he's just like, when he gets shot at, and then he shoots back. We'll get to that very soon.
that we're going to talk about that part for a while because that's the podcast namesake.
Have we got a podcast for you?
Bad movies, worse people.
I mean, look, you like getting a couple beers in you, watching a bad movie, and yucking it up with your friends. That's what we're doing. We have microphones.
We have great impersonations. We have bad impersonations.
I think it might be one of the best podcasts I've ever heard.
It's the best podcast I've ever heard, fellas, and I ain't lying through my giant teeth.
There's a sample.
Yes.
You can find us anywhere. Badmoviesworstpeople.com. Come check us out.
If you don't follow us, we will follow you home.
I didn't show everybody, if you're interested, but look at that. Look at that sexy. Yeah, well, there it goes. There's that despecialized edition. He did the slip cover with the old VHS.
I was going to say, your slip cover is different than mine.
I
didn't get the slip cover.
I bought those from the guy who did the second run, not the first run. Put those in.
That's what I have.
It's got the original poster on it there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sexy stuff, man.
See, sometimes it's cool to give to charities, guys.
Yeah, especially St. Jude's.
St. Jude's is the only charity that seems to put the money where it goes.
Yeah. Well, so does the Ronald McDonald House.
And then a guy from St. Jude's called me and was like, "Hey, thanks for donating money, and we just wanted to tell you you're awesome." And I was like, "All right."
Damn.
He wasn't calling like, "Hey,
Yeah,
can you
wasn't
donate
asking
more
for
money?"
more.
It's just like, I just want to let
I
you know
didn't
we
get
really
that phone
appreciate
call.
it.
Because we did it for you.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So they think you donated a bunch.
Yeah.
I want my just due.
A bunch, like what, $80 or something?
Well, twice as much as they thought that you did.
Right? You donated not just once, but twice.
But so we kick off obviously right after the end of our last episode, Rogue One, on Leia's ship. The
Tentative 4.
there you go.
Tentative 4.
I was like, it's a T.
Yeah.
Transylvania 4.
Yeah. It's also, I think it's the Tentative 3 that her father uses in the prequels to get away.
Oh, Mr.
But it was
Smith.
it was supposed to be the same ship, but they did something wrong, and fans noticed like that engine fragment is not correct. So they just like, well, it's the 3, not the 4.
Yeah,
Calm
you
down.
stupids.
I just always love the I will praise Star Wars fans when they deserve it, and like just the way they can explain stuff from this movie. There's a point where they take the Millennium Falcon under one of the Star Destroyers, and there isn't an open cargo bay. So they went ahead and wrote a whole different Star Destroyer type that doesn't have an open cargo bay. Just because fans are like, well, but he went under. It's just an oversight. It's fine.
different ship.
Yep. Different ship altogether.
This is like the one that has the satellite dish on front. It's a different ship.
Mm-hmm.
But who you probably know, you might not know. Who's the Silver C-3PO?
Just a protocol droid, as far as I know. I guarantee you it has a name. It
Okay,
probably
they
has
don't
a
have
story.
He's probably C2PO.
It probably has a book about it.
Because I know we've got some other people who have entire books about them.
R2.
Like Lax Sivrak,
Uh-huh.
the Wolfman from the
Oh,
Cantina,
I was like, is that Boris?
who's deleted from the special editions.
Yeah, they just put a CGI, a generic character right over him.
Hashtag justice for Lax Sivrak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Release the Lax Sabrak cut.
And of course, Cornelius Evazan and Ponda Baba have whole stories written about them. And the Look Sir Droids guy has whole stories written about him, whose name I can't think of right now, but I know he does.
Which one?
the stormtrooper that says, "Look, sir, droids."
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
He's holding up a fucking like gear. Like these robots are just dropping parts of themselves.
So he just informed me, unless you just said this right now and I missed it. There's a whole book on this guy.
Yeah. There's a bunch of. I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
if
what he
it's
was saying.
I don't know if it's a book or if it's like comic series or what it is, but there's another podcast that I like to listen to where they talk about Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
And they go. One of the guys goes into the Essential Guide to Characters, Andy Mangels from 1995, whatever. And sometimes he does the newer one, but he usually does that one and just goes through these characters, tells his co-host about them while they make fun of Star Wars and laugh about all the stupid words and things that happen.
Like a jizz band.
Like jizz bands,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about in a little bit here. But that was one of the things, one of the more recent episodes, I think it was, or maybe it was, I don't remember. But it was one I listened to where it was like, They're like, this is so and so, the Luxor droids guy. He has a name, he has a story, he's got adventures.
Because this is a time when George was just making money, so he's like, I'll sign off on that. I'll sign off on that. As long as you didn't write about Yoda's homeworld. He limited the
that's
amount
right.
of Wookiee Jedis that you could have. But other than that, he's just like, yeah.
So
print
we
it.
know absolutely nothing about. We don't even know the name that their race.
We know of Yodel. Yeah, we know of Yaddle. We know of Yoda, and we know of Grogu.
Grogu.
We know that the Yoda lived to be 900.
And Grogu.
We know that they're all
50.
very force sensitive. Well, the ones we've met, and that is about it.
Luxor droids guy, Davin Felth.
Okay.
I looked him up on Star Wars Wikipedia.
I mean, you're talking to the one of the Wilro fans, like from episode 5. I sent you the black dude that's running with the ice cream maker. Like they got stories about all of them dudes. He was tortured to death, but he never gave up the name of the rebels that he was working for.
Good
That's
on you,
what
mate.
was in that Cantano. Anyway,
Darth Vader and the Empire here trying to get onto the ship, or they not trying. They are
With
succeeding
minimal
in getting
effort.
on the ship. And this is the first time you see Darth Vader ever in history. And he is so fucking intimidating.
Yeah.
And I do love the scene from the end of Rogue One, but I also kind of get, I think it was Classy that was saying, like, you don't need the throwing people around thing, because he walks on screen here and you're just like,
you don't need it.
but it was great.
But
You didn't need
appreciate
it at this point. I think we need it after all the expanded universe shit we're talking about.
Yeah.
We hear all these tales of how badass he is. It's like, well, he's big and intimidating, sure.
Did you guys watch? I think I sent you the Holiday Roads version
Mm-hmm.
of
I
that
did not
scene.
watch it.
It changes it.
It's still fucking it's actually a little more terrifying. But we've talked about this before too, but R2 and 3PO launch off the ship into an escape pod, and the guy's like, "Oh, there's no life forms. Don't shoot."
Yeah.
Like, is there a limit on how many lasers you have, or
Do you want the answer?
sure? From a certain point of
From
view.
a certain point of view, the book tells you that these guys were, bless you,
Thank
were
you.
judged really harshly on their fire to kill ratio.
Oh.
And
Okay.
him shooting and not getting a kill could have lowered his chances to get a promotion.
Oh.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
From a certain point of
I
view,
mean,
it all makes
Also,
sense.
though, once they find out later, once Vader finds out that that's where the plans were,
Yeah.
that guy got choked to death.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You had the pod in your sights. Well, yeah, I just
It's like when I was a cashier at the grocery store. You have to check out faster,
Mhm.
but also accurately.
Mhm. Yeah, so
Bob
fire
and
better, but
Lisa?
also accurately.
Bob and Lisa, bottom of basket, look inside always.
We didn't have that.
Yeah, we did.
But we get, I mean, it's just so many, like, a lot of the notes I took are just like iconic lines
Yeah.
that I just just love. And I'm not necessarily going to say them all, but when he's talking to Leia, Vader he's, "You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor."
I love David Prowse's physical, like, because you have to give a little extra to it. You can't
Yeah.
just be like, you're part of the Alliance.
Yeah.
You're part of the Rebel Alliance. Like
I feel like he's given the acting.
he is. You can find footage
and like
of
he's
him.
been verbalizing.
You can find the footage of him speaking,
Why
and same
didn't-
with 3PO.
Was he was the plan always to have James Earl Jones or
No, Orson Welles initially.
Really?
Yeah.
That would have worked too.
Orson Welles, but he said that James Earl Jones just had a darker timbre to his voice, like not in skin tone, but like he just had a darker, more.
verbatim?
It sounded more nefarious. Orson Welles was
I
more,
don't know,
had
man.
gravitas
You could watch that Orson Welles commercial for the wine
when he's hammered as shit.
and he's hammered as shit, and he still sounds scary.
I have
Action.
no idea what you're talking about.
Just do anything. No, do your actual. Oh, sorry. Like he is hammered. I'll find it. And send
Yeah,
it to
there's
you.
a there's a famous it's a commercial. It's for the wine. I think it's his wine,
Uh-huh.
and he's trying to do this commercial, and he's just fucking shit hammered.
Because he's drinking his wine on the
Yeah.
commercial. Yeah.
I mean, I
Because
think
he's
he
Orson
I
Welles.
think he was pre-gaming before the commercial. He shot a bunch of commercials that day. They were all for wine.
He's shooting
So-
a wine. He's shooting a commercial for fucking Star Wars toys too, and he's just getting hammered.
Jawas. What the fuck is a Jawa?
From Kenner.
The Death Star. Oh, I'm starting to see stars.
But I mean, Orson Welles would be cool too. But
He would have.
it would have not helped for the longevity of the voice the way James Earl Jones's did, because he could keep coming back. Orson Welles didn't make it as long as James.
I
Earl
know
Right.
to name Orson Welles. Can't fucking picture this dude.
I mean, you know him from his voice more. He's a big, robust gentleman with a beard. Looks very like operatic.
Okay. What would I
Yeah.
know him from?
Citizen Kane,
Nope.
Didn't he narrate War of the Worlds?
War of the Worlds. He did the radio version of
Oh.
War of the Worlds. It's the one that made
That's-
everybody.
definitely nails it with the operatic.
Yeah, thank you.
The one that made everybody
word I
think
just
that the
made
world
up.
was actually ending. He did that
Coined
War
the
of the
term.
Worlds broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like they were like, "This is real."
Okay.
But
What does she clap back with? I recognized your foul stench.
Oh, that's later
Oh.
on. That's when she's talking to Tarkin.
Oh, that's right.
There's
He's got
a
a
funny
story
thing.
about
So we're
Tarkin.
talking about Leia. I'm going to talk about this story I saw.
Is it why she slips into British accent?
No,
No.
Because I have a story about it.
no, I didn't see that one. But there's a. So part of the thing to save money, because it's a low budget film, when all the main cast flew to England, they flew coach. George Lucas, Han Solo, Harrison Ford.
No.
Han Solo.
Han Solo's fine.
Indiana Jones, if anything.
If anything, it's Han Solo.
You were on a Star
Jack
Wars podcast.
Ryan.
Jack Ryan.
The president of the United States. Get off my Star Destroyer.
Get off my Millennium Falcon.
But all of them, they flew coach, and Carrie Fisher's mother, who I believe was somebody famous,
Yes.
who I can't think of right now, but she found out. She called George Lucas, and she was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, you don't make my daughter fly coach. She's a star of your movie," and da da da. And she's going off on him. Leia, Carrie Fisher's in the room.
It's okay.
Princess Leia.
And she's like, "Give me the phone." And she's like, "Mom, I want to fly coach. Fuck off." She just hangs up on her. And I was like, that's so fucking Carrie Fisher that
That's
I
awesome.
It is.
Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I believe it because that sounds like something Carrie Fisher would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I mean, we saw her when we were doing the holiday special, some of the stuff where she's talking about it. We watched that trailer for Disturbance in the Force about the thing, and she was the one doing the interview that's like, "I don't give a fuck if he doesn't want me to talk about it. Fuck you. I'll talk about it. That movie sucks." Like
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher, bitch.
I was so coked out. Actually, we all were. Even that little fucking Chewbacca kid, he was yacked out of his mind. That would be terrifying. That thing
Well,
on
that's what that
coke.
face was.
it was a little girl.
Yeah,
Little
but
girls
not
can
the-
do coke. Drew Barrymore's proved it.
Oh, God.
Was Drew Barrymore playing the little?
She snuck
She
on the
turned it
set.
down.
She heard they had the good coke.
So 3PO and R2 get kidnapped by Jawas, and
Houdini!
just all these little things as I'm watching it, like I just hear these things, and I'm like,
I could have this on as background noise.
I almost was like, I don't have to watch this.
yeah.
Like I'm gonna.
I get to.
This is an excuse to watch.
You had to
it.
because of me.
She had to. I got to.
I got to. The Jawas are all children of the production people, by the
I
way.
asked that. I said,
Oh,
I
is-
wonder if these are children. Like,
Yeah,
is
there's
that...
I know
a couple like way taller ones.
The head Jawa, and I didn't get his name. I should have gotten it. I was kind of just flipping through stuff, but he's a little person actor. He was, I of course, just like we've seen when we do anything from the 80s on Bad Movies Worst People that has little people in it, or like fantasy creatures, and there's always like short ones that are played by little people. He was in like all that stuff. He's
Yeah.
in Time Bandits. He's in Brazil. He's
Willow.
in Willow. He's in Labyrinth.
Return of the
He's-
Jedi, probably.
Yeah, he was in all the Star
Yeah.
Wars. So, you know.
But yeah, I had asked Derek. I was like, one of those has got to be his kid, right?
There's a bunch of the children of said
You
production.
can tell by the
people.
way they walk that
I
they're
didn't-
not adults.
I didn't
Mhm.
see her. I think it's Katie Lucas.
Oh,
I think-
she's probably one of them.
I didn't see her in the credits. All of the Jawas are uncredited, so it's an IMDb thing where it's just a bunch of people listed and it says uncredited next to it.
Yeah.
Most of the people the credits on this are like fucking 18 people.
Mhm.
So, surprisingly, you know, the Red Squadron people and all that get credits, but
Yeah. Well, you got
Well, they have
to
names.
recognize Porkins.
I didn't know if you guys noticed our names here though. Durkins and Red Squadron.
Nice.
I'm-
Red Squadron.
I'm Durkins.
Yeah.
I don't make it to the end.
Oh.
You guys might.
Avenge me.
Oh, we'll avenge you.
But I like Owen and Baru, and Owen's out there looking at the droids and stuff, and they have to find one that speaks bocce ball. So
Yep.
Luke is not a good actor, like, especially in this first one. It's great because he's charming and he's hopeful, But he's, I was gonna go to the Tashi station and pick up a power converter.
Dude, so much of the stuff he says. One of the first things when we had the commentary version on, he said something. I think it was that, and I was like, why does he sound like Don Knotts?
Yeah. I was gonna go to Tashi station.
How old is he supposed to be?
18, 19?
18, 19, yeah.
Why does he act like he's 12?
He's been on the farm his whole life.
Farming moisture.
Well, yeah, you're in the desert. You're gonna want moisture.
Yeah, they have to. She asked me. She's like, "What are they farming?" I just looked at her. Moisture. She's like, "Moisture." I was like, "Yep." And just,
Remember in Boba Fett how the sand people took those black melons out of the ground?
Tusken Raiders, please.
Sorry, the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
Like when they say the sand people are raiding again, but that's how they get their moisture. It's a desert planet now. Since the Rakatan Empire glassed it, it used to be full of oceans and trees.
Yeah, that's the Italian space aliens. The
Rakata.
Rakata Empire.
Ricotta.
I don't think they're canon anymore. Well, no,
No, they are because they were
fucking
Obi-Wan.
Stellan skateboard.
Oh, was it Andor?
Yeah,
Okay.
he says something about the Rakata when he gives the crystal. He's like, it's the rebellion against the Rakatans.
Okay.
Oh, I could do like a 3-hour talk.
It's a Rakata crystal.
Is Andor there and we don't know it?
Yes, the Andor. Well, Andor is now dead.
Yeah,
as of
right
this
here,
movie.
Andor's dead as of
Oh.
like an hour ago. Like an hour before
Oh.
this movie, Andor died.
Actually, speaking of the timeline of things, I never really thought about it. You just, when you're younger, you just watch movies. You don't think about time.
yeah.
This is literally like a One Crazy Night movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it starts one day and then they go to bed. And the next day, when he meets Obi-Wan, everything else happens that day.
Yeah.
He meets Han Solo, goes to space, breaks into the Death Star, breaks out of the Death Star, destroys the Death Star. That's like 8 hours.
No, but because when they're like
Which is funny.
traveling,
The, yeah.
light travel, that could be a while.
I guess that's true.
I don't think it is though, because it's the fastest ship in the galaxy.
This is true. 0.5 faster.
Yeah.
You do the Kessel run in 12 parsecs.
parsecs.
Under 12 parsecs.
Under 12 parsecs.
Yeah.
What does he say in,
I know-
in Solo?
I know
Did
enough.
12 parsecs.
Yeah,
round
round
down.
down.
I know enough that a parsec is not a time but a length.
Mm-hmm.
That's the entire purpose of the movie Solo.
Yeah. Because everybody's just like, there's so many scientific inaccuracies. He's like, oh, let me write this movie real quick. Look at that.
Because he took a shortcut.
And
So
Rogue
he
One,
did it in
Rogue
less-
One mostly existed at one point just to make this movie not seem so ridiculous. When, like, everyone's like, "Well, why did the Empire build such a fucking weakness in its Death Star?" They didn't. They didn't know about it.
No, it was sexy Mads Mikkelsen.
Sexy Mads Mikkelsen, the sexiest.
But when he's talking to 3PO and he's like, "Can you speak Bocce?" and he's like, "Oh yes, I'm proficient in." He's like, "Good, "Shut up." And then
Shutting
you
up.
hear 3PO in the background, "Shut up." Like, fuck you, man.
If it wasn't for my protocols, I would kill you where you stand.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Little Annie built 3PO,
Yeah.
right?
That's one of the big things that's never been addressed. Even in, I figured maybe they'd do something in Obi-Wan.
Who would know it though, besides R2? Who would
But
know that?
Why does R2 know it?
He hasn't had his
Obi-Wan.
memory wiped.
Obi-Wan is like, I don't remember ever owning a droid. He doesn't recognize R2 or 3PO.
Says he didn't say he doesn't recognize him. He just says, I don't recall owning a droid.
But he looks at them and he's like, okay.
No, he looks at him and he knows what's going on.
When did he meet 3PO?
With Anakin.
No, he was on the ship. Qui-Gon met him.
Oh.
Oh, that's right, because he left 3PO behind.
So the next time that he sees 3PO, he's got all of his copper on, and he belongs to Amidala.
Apparently, somewhere in there, they belong to Wedge or to Captain Antilles,
Yeah.
not Wedge, right?
Captain Antilles, yeah.
Is
Which
Wedge.
Well,
well,
Wedge
no,
Antilles is a guy, but then there's Captain, because Wedge isn't a captain; he's just a pilot.
there's a bunch of Antilles. It's like Hancocks in this universe.
Fucking Christ.
They all just help the revolution.
Dude, people are listening, like, what are they even talking about?
I don't know anymore.
It's fine. I knew this was going to happen.
I don't know
so-
any of
No,
this.
but back to your one crazy night though. Like as soon as because we're coming up to the Tusken Raiders knock Luke out,
Yeah,
and Obi-Wan gets him. He's like, "Oh, you've had a busy day. You have no idea how busy his day's about to get." Death Star, Death Star, Death Star. 3 different things happen on or to this Death Star because
Yeah.
of Luke in one day.
I love 3PO's thing here though, because he's like that other R2 droid blows up, and he's like, "Hey, get that one. He's great. You're gonna love him. He's awesome." And then later on,
Doesn't
when he's being an
R2
asshole,
do something to the other thing to
The-
get picked?
Okay, That's always my theory, but there's a book about this particular R2 unit. He happened to be force sensitive, and he can
Oh, he's
tell.
that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
This R2 unit shows back up in Mando or Boba Fett. Yeah, he shows back up at Palimoto's, and he's got like the carbon scoring from where the motivator went bad. But there's a whole book about how he's like a fucking rebel agent, and he knew that R2 had to do this. He blew his motivator on purpose.
Oh. Okay.
It's so silly.
I know, but it just like comes out of my mouth so naturally, dude.
I don't mind all the craziness because a lot of somebody's really sat down and thought about this, and that's fine. It's just silly.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. Like you're talking about the droids guy. There's a book about him. Why?
Look, sir, droids. My name's Revlon. Whatever I said, I don't remember anymore. That was,
Revlon cover girl.
Revlon L'Oreal.
There we go. I like that.
But like, I just love the shittiness of 3PO because he's like, you're gonna fucking love this dude. He's great.
Yeah.
And then later on when he
He's
runs
just
away,
talking all the shit
like,
about him.
or the next morning when he runs away, he's like, he does shit like this all the time. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I say let him die.
He's always terrible.
Jawas are gonna get him again. Yeah, but we get Luke doing his finding the message, trying to get something out of there, and sees the most beautiful girl he's ever seen.
He is struck.
And then, like, when he gets the message, the whole thing to play, or he gets the thing out and he thinks the whole message is going to play and it goes away. And he's like, where'd you go? Oh,
Yo, because R2's like, I think this restraining bolt is blocking the. Oh, it's gone. Well, I'm not showing that anymore.
And I
don't have to listen to you. I don't have a restraining bolt on.
When Luke, like, leaves and R2 beeps at him, 3PO's like, no, I don't think he likes you. And I don't like
I
you
don't like
either.
him either.
And then you just get the sad 3PO.
I mean, 3PO is like the original clapback. It's a real saucy broad.
And also, is Owen calling Obi-Wan cool here? Because this is the only time I hear the word wizard until the prequels, and wizard means cool. Because he's like, Luke is asking about Ben Kenobi. Maybe that's Obi-Wan Kenobi, or maybe he knows who he is.
Come on.
He knows who he is.
I
mean,
know
he would
there's.
at least know who he is. Kenobi does not seem like a common name.
Yeah, maybe he's related.
But he's like, that crazy old wizard's just a hermit or whatever.
No, I think he's just calling him an old man.
No,
I thought
he-
maybe he's like a boomer who heard like Gen Z slang and doesn't know how it works.
Oh, that old wizard? Say less, fam.
exactly. Oh,
Caught
that
it.
wizard!
I fought in the Clone Wars, greatest generation ever.
That wizard doesn't have the riz. Skibbity.
Oh man, in a glizzy after all that.
Ugh.
So I didn't look up the actor that's playing Owen. I didn't look up his age during this because we've talked, of course, extensively, as many people have, about the age of
Alec Guinness.
what's the guy that plays Owen.
Oh, Joel Egerton.
Joel Egerton, and then this guy, like, it's like that's 10 years between we see Joel Egerton
Even
and
Aunt
Obi-Wan.
Beru, even Aunt Beru takes a hard 10.
And Aunt Beru is even worse.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, no offense to this lady, but she goes from like someone who looks like they're maybe in their 20s.
Did you watch
to
the
someone who looks
Obi-Wan
like they're in their
series with
80s.
him?
Oh, yeah.
So that was 10 years before this.
Well,
Yeah,
and
that's-
I told her
Tatooine. It's a tough life, man.
that's what we always say.
well, it's what's in the book.
but
A certain point of view.
I actually looked up the age of Alec Guinness during this, which is 63. And right now, as we record, Ewan McGregor is 53, which means he was 51 during Obi-Wan. So somehow in real life,
He
in
really
the next 10
is.
years, Ewan McGregor, who is still just an absolutely stunning man, has to turn into Alec Guinness.
How dare you? How dare you? Did you know that Sir Alec Guinness hated these movies? He's passed.
So I read a thing
I
where
did
it's like,
not know that.
there's
but
apparently,
Hated.
he interrupted me answering that question for you.
Yeah.
well, there's apparently multiple things that have been said over the years. Like, he did talk about how he thought the dialogue was stupid and he wanted to be killed off earlier and whatever. But then George Lucas says he wanted to kill him off because it gives more weight to the story.
I mean,
But also, but then
That
it
sounds like
really-
somebody like, you're not breaking up with me. I'm breaking up with you.
I know, but it did actually mean more to me.
Absolutely.
well,
it's the right
apparently though,
call.
Alec Guinness, like, there's the thing that he hated it, and then there's the thing that like he didn't like the dialogue. He thought it
Mhm.
was shittily written. Surprise.
Yeah.
But he didn't actually hate working on it, but he did hate that was the thing. The thing he hated the most was this is the movie he would be remembered for.
There's a story of a little kid coming up to him to get an autograph and was like, I've seen Star Wars X amount of hundreds of times. And he's like, I will sign this if you never watch that again. So,
Wow.
maybe he was being cheeky. Maybe he's a dick. he is a Sir Alec Guinness. I mean, he was a stage actor with a lot of fucking bravado to him. So this is kind of slumming it to him. But I don't know, man. You got to understand what you did for this franchise.
Yeah, I mean,
He's the only really known actor. Oh, Peter Cushing. But none of these people are stars yet.
No. I mean, Harrison Ford was in American Graffiti,
Yeah,
but that
not
wasn't
a star.
that wasn't a big, that was what got George Lucas
And
started.
he's in it for like 5 minutes.
But I was going to say, yeah, Peter Cushing is also, I mean, he's a well-respected actor, but he also, I guess he was used to slumming it a little bit. He did a lot of Hammer films, which are cheap British horror films. It's like our
Yeah.
Universal monster movies.
Oh, so this is
But the
perfect
British
for him.
version.
He's like, this is a fucking independent film I can get my teeth into.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess maybe he didn't take it as hard as Sir Alec Guinness.
But
But-
he's also in the second one, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in all
Or the
4. Or all 3, I
Fifth
mean.
one?
Yeah, he's in 4, 5, and 6
Okay.
as it goes. He dies in this one. Spoilers.
Yeah, he did come back
Obi-Wan
as a
ain't making
ghost.
it out.
Hey guys, I don't want to sound needy here.
I'm
or anything,
needy.
but we have a Patreon at patreon.com/worstpeople.
Patreon.com.
And it only costs $3 a month.
$3 a month is nothing.
And I know times are hard right now.
Real hard for me.
Inflation's up.
Oh,
You can't afford your groceries,
can't eat.
but you can afford $3 a month if you love us.
Give us $3.
Super love us.
Please
Yeah.
love us.
We're not begging.
I'm begging.
We're not pleading.
I'm pleading.
We're not down on our knees.
Oh boy,
I mean-
my knees hurt. They've been on so long.
But we do kind of need the money.
I need the money bad.
We need new equipment.
New equipment. We need to do remote podcasts for all of you.
I wouldn't mind eating.
We need to have video.
I wouldn't mind eating.
We need more drinks.
Food sounds good.
So please check out patreon.com/worstpeople.
Please check us out.
After Luke has his little hissy fit, when he walks out and is like, "Where are you going?" Looks like I'm going nowhere.
Yeah.
Me-
He wants to join the academy.
What academy?
Flight Academy, probably for Imperials.
Oh.
I'm guessing.
Well, he's excited about hearing about the rebellion against the Empire. So
Did you watch the deleted scenes I sent you?
No, I didn't get to.
Okay. There's one with him and his buddy Biggs Darklighter, who ends up being in the movie later. But it shows them talking, and Biggs had graduated the Imperial Academy. It's the way to, like, in this scene, he's like, "Oh, you're gonna leave," and he like looks around. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna join the Alliance." And he's like, "The what? The Alliance?" So Luke is not really big into the Alliance in that take. Like, he's not big on the rebellion. He wants to join the Imperials just to get off that planet.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the propaganda would work that you wouldn't think, you might not know they're an evil empire. You might just be like, I'm going to join the empire. It's what we do.
But I mean, like, because right here, I mean, when he meets Alec Guinness, first of all, hello there.
Hello there.
He says right away, he's like, "You were a pilot, or you know of the Rebel Alliance," or something like that. He's very excited about the rebellion against the Empire.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why that was deleted. They changed their mind on what they were doing.
I was going to say, just George not really knowing what to do.
Yeah. We get the famous, he's giving Luke the lightsaber from his father.
Oh, when he was saving from the Tusken Raiders? Yeah. Do you know that's only one up? And then
Is
he
it?
edits it to go up and down.
Oh, that's right. You told me
It's
that.
rewound and fast forward. Yeah. But no, dude, the noise he's making is a crate dragon. That's what
Fuck
scares.
is a crate dragon?
They're a dangerous animal on Tatooine to eat the Tuskens.
Is that the bones? The C-3PO?
That might be. How big was it?
That's
Ginormous?
something that they fought in the Mandalorian.
Yeah, it's the greater crate dragon.
Okay.
There's like lesser. There's
'Cause
a
I-
greater
I-
and a lesser.
I read a bit about that. They put the skeleton there and they left it there.
Mm-hmm.
And when they went back to shoot the prequels, it was still there.
Oh, nice. It's just stolen now. Some fucking nerd with money is like, I'm going to get it.
They found out it was still there.
Yeah.
And they were like, "I'm going to take that thing."
Guess who's going with a cargo plane?
But yeah, it's huge
Do I
when
get
he's
48 carry-ons or?
Ship these individually.
when he's standing next to it and C-3PO is like, "Oh, look, it's people, save me." It's
Mhm.
like he's the size of the head.
It's a transport.
Yeah, he's the size of the head, and it's just it's basically a skeleton along the top of the ridge.
Yeah.
But we get that line. I've got a shirt in there somewhere. I couldn't find it. I was going to try to wear it. Mine has the light guns from Nintendo on it.
Mhm.
One's red and one's blue, but it's a more civilized weapon or a more elegant weapon from a more civilized age.
Yeah, not a clumsy
Blaster.
blaster. Clumsy blaster.
I mean, I guess Obi-Wan knows a thing or two about a clumsy blaster. He ran around trying to save Leia with a blaster for 5 episodes till he switched to his lightsaber finally. It was probably 3 episodes. I was like, he's using way too much blaster in this.
Yeah, that's why he says this. He's like, ugh, I was so bad back then. I wasn't
Fuck those
elegant at
things.
all.
But he tells Luke what the Force is for the first time ever. Luke's never heard of it. And he's like, you have to learn the way of the Force if you're going to go to Alderaan with me. And he's like, the fuck you talking about, Alderaan? I got to go farm.
Yeah.
I can't go to Alderaan with you.
I'm already in so much trouble. So Anakin was too old to train. So let's have his really powerful son wait till he's 19. Then we'll train him.
I think at
This
this
is the
point,
Jedi plan.
Yeah, but I think at this point it's like, well, you're all I got, buddy.
It just, I think about this a lot. It's a really fucked up move to split up these twins
Yeah.
because no one knew of their existence except for Obi-Wan, Yoda, and the droid that probably had its fucking memory wiped. Then they get Bail Organa involved and they split them up. Don't split them up. And then also, like, if you're going to split them up, have them both just be trained at birth.
Well, so, I mean, in defense of the splitting them up plan,
They had to protect them from the people that were hunting the Jedis.
it
But
made
nobody
sense.
was hunting them.
It made
No one
sense to
knew
me
it.
early on, though. I know people don't know, but if
You were
someone
training
finds
them.
out, because what's her name?
There's spies
Reva.
everywhere.
Reva? Is that her name?
Reva.
She finds out, and
Reva.
then so does Darth Vader and stuff here, right? Doesn't he find out in Obi-Wan or no?
No.
He says the Force is really strong with him. At the
I
end
know.
of
I
this
was in
movie.
Obi-Wan.
He doesn't find out until episode 5.
Okay. But I mean, Reva found out, and then so, other people, people find out. And I think the idea is, well, if something happens to one, the other one's still out
Right,
there.
that's
Because they're
fine.
both going to be powerful with the Force in one way or
My
another.
bigger criticism, I guess, is why have Luke not just live with Obi-Wan as a fucking crazy hermit training in the sands from whatever age
because
he
Obi-Wan
could.
was hunted.
Not anymore.
Well, he was in hiding.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go in hiding and train. I
You
mean,
can-
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Eh.
This plan just makes zero sense. Wait till he's 19. Let's throw all this information at him, turn him into a big Mary Sue.
Yeah, but he's not going to be coaxed by the dark side because he already hates the Empire. He's already like
Hate is a very
okay.
powerful
He already
emotion.
dislikes the Empire. I get it.
You know what? At the
but
end of the
I do
day,
have a question.
at the end of the day, it's his non-traditional Jedi that saves the entire beliefs that save the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
There you go.
so.
So I have a question. Beru and Owen, how is he their uncle and aunt?
Owen's dad married Annie's mom.
That-
Okay,
okay,
that's
that
what,
is
that's
what
what
you-
I wasn't
yeah.
sure. I was like,
Shimmy.
it's something like that. Either he already had them and married her, but it wouldn't make sense if she had them after because he's older.
It's
than
all by
Anakin,
adoption,
so-
really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That's what I thought. She was asking me, and I was like, Jack will clarify. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
And now you're clarified if you didn't know.
Oh, they,
They don't care. No,
maybe
no one
there's,
actually
maybe there's
cares.
people like me that are
no,
like,
they're so
huh,
smart. They know. Gotta say you're not smart.
he just said I'm not smart, guys.
But like they go back because he's like, oh no, if they found out because they find the Jawas all shot up.
We get the line that a lot of people get confused about because he's like, this is precise. Only stormtroopers could be this precise.
No, he says Imperial stormtroopers.
Well, sure.
Well, they're all Imperial.
yeah.
Oh.
Which leads a lot of people like, what? Stormtroopers aren't really that good at shooting.
Well, you know what? I thought about that because we've talked about this before. I thought about that while we were watching this, and then I watched the rest of the movie, and I was like, nobody can hit anything with these guns.
But
these
also-
guns just suck.
Also, you talk about the E11, the outdated E11.
Yeah.
It does suck. Also, Vader tells them to let him get away. That's the whole fucking plan.
Okay.
At the end of this thing, he's like,
Oh,
"Did you
yeah.
did you place the homing beacon, the tracker?"
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean,
so they were told to fucking miss.
because when Luke and Leia are trying to shoot those guys when they're on the bridge inside the Death Star,
Yeah,
it takes fucking 5 minutes to shoot 3 dudes.
yeah.
Later on, when there's everybody shooting back and forth, nobody can hit anybody in any scene. Even the good guys
Yeah,
using
'cause it's for
blasters
children.
can't hit
The
shit.
non-story version, it just looks cooler to have this many bolts flying across the screen and explosions behind,
Yeah.
instead of and you're down, scene over. The story version is the Force.
The Force, dude.
The Force is strong with her too.
Yeah, absolutely. The Force is writing its own story, and it loves a fool.
Are we still in the belief that midichlorian?
Midichlorian.
Those weren't invented yet.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, they're canon forever and ever now.
Yeah.
But at this point, it was just you got this magical thing called the Force, and that's the end of it.
I do like. We'll get to it in a
Well,
little
he
bit.
does explain it a little bit. He goes,
It's a force that flows through all of us.
all of
and
us.
It's energy.
The only reason he made up midichlorian is to quantify power. That's it. Just that way you
Because
can say
George Lucas saw Dragon Ball Z and was like, I wanted to be over 9. I wanted to be over 9,000, dude.
it's just so that when they say Master Yoda has this many and then Anakin has this many, you're like, oh shit, that's a lot of minis.
He's got so many more minis than
He's
the
got
many.
so more many chlorians.
But I wanted to point out when I said that Luke hears of the Force for the first time ever, because shortly here when they escape Tatooine and he's training on the ship, Han comes out and he's like, this hokey religion bullshit. He's like, you don't believe in the Force, do you? And I'm like, motherfucker,
You didn't
just
know
heard
that.
about it 4 hours ago.
He's a full-on simp. The Force. I love the Force. She get a
like-
Force tattoo.
It's like you grew up and you'd never heard of like the Bible. And
Uh-huh.
then someone comes to you and they're like, God, dude. And then 4 hours later, you're like, you don't believe in God? You
Well,
fucking
It's
idiot.
called a lot of recovery programs.
But those people have heard of God.
Maybe.
Hey, they live in America. They have.
Yeah, that's true.
It's on their money. How do you think they bought their drugs?
And pubis unum.
Pubis.
That's on the dollar bill. It's
That's,
Latin.
I know it's pluribus, but it sounded like you said pubis.
It is pubis. I'm pretty sure.
No, it's got an
In
L
pubes we trust.
in it. In pubes we trust.
Pretty sure that's the American slogan.
But he finds
Should
out
be.
that his family's dead. Sad day.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, they
Great
are
skeleton
crispy.
work.
Yes.
There's a rumor, a theory, not a rumor, a theory that it was Boba Fett. And that's why in episode 5, Vader's like, no disintegrations. Like he was sent to go do this and ended up just fucking torching him.
Oh.
But that wouldn't go with Disney's new version of Boba Fett anyway. It's
Well-
just what fans always thought.
Disney's new version of Boba Fett.
He's a
We'll
little
get it.
bitch.
We'll get there when we talk about Boba Fett, but it's much later. It's him trying to grow as a person.
Yeah, but it
Boba
happens
Fett in
so-
this era was still a fucking
He
vicious
sat-
I
killer.
was about to go off. We're not going to do that.
He sat in the belly of a tum-tum tuck for years, right?
A Sarlacc pit.
There you go.
It wasn't for years.
No, if you watch that show, it was for like what, a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still pretty rough.
See?
Still terrible.
He was only being dissolved by acid for a few days, not 10,000
Mhm.
years.
Luckily, it's Beskar.
So he was changing his ways. He was like,
He
God,
saw the
Force,
light.
I've seen the
their
light.
pubes. I would be a better man.
E pubis.
Get me out of this.
Pubis urinum. I yearn for pubes.
But yeah, so he finds out his family is crispy. So he goes off with
Oh, one of our different
Extra.
11 spices that you can order is extra
Extra
crispy.
crispy.
Extra crispy.
extra crispy
How do you
baru.
take your baru with blue milk? I hope.
Well, that's the you know when they make they have like buttermilk fried chicken. It's just blue,
blue milk,
buttermilk.
yeah.
So that the chicken looks blue when you eat it.
Did you know the name for this, the code name for this movie? Blue Harvest.
No, sure didn't.
That's the nickname for it.
I did know that people do put names on movies that they don't want
Mm-hmm.
fucked with or
Yeah.
whatever.
And this
Like
is the
he
first.
says that's a code name that was actually just his original title, but he didn't.
Right.
You still gonna call it Blue Harvest? No, that was a code name. Always a code name. Never the real name.
Look, I've had this plan. I keep fucking saying this, and no one listens to me.
No one listens to
I've
me.
had this plan since I was 11.
I mean, the way this starts, it does sound like he did have an idea of something prior.
Yeah, but he didn't know.
He
He
had
didn't
a
even
lot
know
of,
that Darth
he had
Vader
a
was
big,
Luke's dad.
He had a big fucking fat book of notes of ideas that he wanted to do. They were not concise. He just said it. He didn't know that Vader was going to be his dad. At this point, especially in this story, Vader is a separate person that killed
Anakin.
Anakin.
And that's why when when Beru's like, he's just got too much of his father in him, and Owen's like, that's what I'm afraid of. He's not saying that's what I'm afraid of because he might be like Darth Vader. He's saying that's what I'm afraid of because his dad went off, fought in the wars, and died.
Are you sure?
That
But I
was
mean,
the- that
luckily
was-
that line is written and performed in a way that it could.
it goes both ways.
It's easy to
So
retcon.
why?
But meanwhile, we find out.
Meanwhile.
don't Clone Wars this. We're not there yet.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Previously on Star Wars,
General Grievous up to it again.
that fucking newsreel
Asked
shit.
to surrender, and he says, "No can do'sville, baby doll."
No can do, poopy pants. we find out that the
That's the gift that keeps giving, man.
It really is. For those that don't know, check out Patreon, Latchkey
Latchkey
Vids, Cop Rock, phenomenal show.
that was episode 4, 3,
Four.
4.
Episode 4.
Yeah, no
'Cause we
can do,
watched
poopy
it.
pants.
Baby merchant.
Yeah.
Woo.
But so we find out the emperor has now dissolved the Senate completely. He's an emperor now. There's nobody telling him what to do. Not that they were telling him what to do. Anyway.
I mean, we see it though. The end of it in Andor when the show, when Mon Mothma's there, like trying to give her speech, and people are turning their fucking lights off. Like it's just a puppet show at this point,
Yeah.
but it still does exist.
Yeah.
Him, like what happens here when they destroy Alderaan is basically like, all right, dude, look, we don't need you, and if you don't get on board, this is what happened to all of your
Yeah.
planets.
And this like chubby general guy, do you know his name? The one that's talking shit to Darth Vader here?
Oh God, I don't.
Oh, yeah, the one
Okay,
that
I
gets
thought you
force
might.
choked?
I just
he has a whole name.
Oh, I'm
He's
sure
got a
he-
whole thing.
he's got more than the line, "Look, sir, droids." So I'm sure he has a whole.
I haven't read these books in so fucking long. I should have. That's what I should have done. Not watch this. I should have read the books.
No, you should always watch this.
But like, because he's the one that's like, this station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
And even
bitch.
Peter Cushing is like, well, calm down.
Calm down.
Let's see where this goes. But this is one of the big lines. It's like, your sad devotion to that ancient religion makes you weak, or what,
Oh,
or hasn't helped
I'm
you
weak
conjure
now.
up
Hasn't
the
helped you-
stolen plans.
Yeah, or find the
Dude.
fucking rebel.
Dude, I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Love it.
Just this fucking dude.
Did you
Like,
ever play Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah,
There, or it's the second one where the bad
I played
guy.
the first one.
The second
played
one,
the
the bad guy can literally eat planets like with the Force. It's obviously way overpowered in the canon that we
Galactica?
have now, but kind of
Galactus.
Galactus, yeah, Darth Nihilus. I love this guy, but I mean, Vader can't do
Good
that.
name.
But yeah, but he can rip ships out of the sky, and in the books, a lot more powerful. Vader could do his like almost like Jedi meditation, even though he's a Sith, and he could talk to a bunch of different commando units and link them all up, so that way you wouldn't have to have walkie talkies or comms. You know, like Vader could just rule a battlefield. Like that's what he's saying. He's like, if I wanted this Death Star destroyed, I could do it.
Yeah.
I can get in here.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this. I'm Darth Vader. Pretty cool.
So I don't know if you guys noticed. I never really thought about it because he's such an imposing character. 12 minutes of Darth Vader
Yeah,
in this 2-hour, 1-minute movie.
Huh.
That's it.
That
That's-
is surprisingly
that's-
shy.
About the same amount of time as we get Godzilla in like all those most recent Godzilla movies.
Yeah,
And people complained about it there. No one complains about it here. But I
'Cause
guess
there's
you're
Well,
Godzilla.
because it's
Godzilla's smashing buildings and doing stuff. and-
It's also
Right.
he's sprinkled in a lot of times.
yeah.
and the
But
rest of this is you're having so much more to watch. Like, yes, I do want all of Vader, but
34 minutes in the entire original trilogy.
really
34 minutes of screen time.
surprising.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean,
Wow.
based on this being 12, that means there's
10 minutes,
22 minutes left. I'm going to say, I mean, a huge portion of that is Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because there's him and Luke in Empire, but then Jedi, there's that whole final.
The whole scene on the Death Star too.
Yeah. Now, when they say screen time, whoever wrote this up is probably talking about actually on screen. So maybe when they cut to just Luke and the Emperor, they're not counting it. I would still count that.
He's
'cause
there.
He's there, but
yeah.
who knows? But I mean, according to the tidbits I was reading, 12 minutes in this movie, 34 in the entire original trilogy.
But it works. He's menacing as fuck. He's imposing as fuck.
well, he became a cultural icon.
Yes.
Fucking 34 minutes out of 6 hours of movies.
Dude, this came out and everybody was at home just like, no, you don't do it right. It's, no, mine sounds so much cooler. Everyone's turning their fucking fans on. Save it for 5.
La, la, lee, la, la, la. It's probably not going to work. It's probably just going to pick up the fan. But
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it became an icon. You're 100% right.
from nothing. I mean, it's a great performance. Obviously, David Prowse is doing good with the physical stuff, but just James Earl Jones' voice.
Uh-huh.
And not just his voice, but his voice acting against what David Prowse already did.
And this is where some of this ridiculous dialogue can work with him delivering it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, because he's like half Robotniks, isn't he?
yeah, he's a cyborg.
Robotniks. So then Sonic comes in.
So if Lucas can make up
Fucking
shit, I
just-
can make up shit also.
Vader just force chokes Sonic. Not so fast.
Literally. Meanwhile, that's just a little cutaway. Back at Tatooine, we get the cantina scene,
Ooh.
which the disc that I have
You'll
here,
never find a more wretched hive of villainy and scum.
the disc that I have here,
Mm-hmm.
this is the song on the menu.
It
And I was
is.
about to leave it playing because I had it in while I was getting stuff ready, and I was,
was
like,
getting so
Whitney's going to
annoyed.
kill me. So
That's what my brain is like when I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, I get. How come the elephant wasn't in this one?
How much? What? Oh, Max Rebo.
Yeah.
He's in 6.
yeah.
He's on.
This,
He's
'cause
in
this
Jabba's.
is
Snoo.
oh,
The
something
aliens
something
with
Dan.
straws.
Finger and Dan.
Finger and Dan.
Finger and Dan.
It's
is what
Finger
it
and
is.
Dan and
Finger
the
and
Jizz
Dan
Band.
and his Jizz Band. Yes.
So the visual dictionary of Star Wars calls this jizz music, but it's
Gizz.
You guys, come on.
They're probably going for like Giz, but jazz is what they're obviously basing this off of, and
Uh-huh.
jazz is pronounced jazz.
It's
So you
also
throw
a J.
you throw an I into that shit. I don't know. I mean, yeah, G can be pronounced multiple ways. You got Godzilla and Go, Gift, but
Giraffe.
you got giraffe.
Mhm.
You got other things with a G.
Jardiniere.
There you go. I can't think of any G words all of a sudden. I'm like looking at the G.
Grillo.
But like, I don't know, man.
I love
this
this
song
scene.
is so fucking good, and this scene,
This scene
is
is
so great.
Jeff.
I mean, I guess I was like, that's a J, and then I was like, well, there is the G.
There is the- there's the off.
GEOFF.
But this is one of the best things of Star Wars for me. Is this just rogues gallery?
And this was actually this.
And Brutus is in there, or not?
Well, it's
the
not
actual-
Brutus,
no,
but
that
yeah.
is that is whoever I just said, Lax Sivrak.
Yeah. And he might not even be. There's another dog race besides just Chauvinistan. And
Just Finiston.
it's like a Dale or something. I can't remember now.
I didn't look up the species. I knew this guy had a name, and I couldn't remember. And so I was like searching. I'm like, I searched Wolfman, and of course, the first thing that comes up is the new movie
Brutus.
Wolfman.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, that doesn't work. Wolfman Star Wars, and it's got like all these characters, and I was like, Wolfman Star Wars Cantina.
Uh-huh. And it's a regular ass like Halloween mask off the shelf, which
Yes,
is
it
why
is.
George wanted to replace it in the later one. But I think it's perfect.
Well, this isn't the only thing that was replaced. This scene, the cantina scene, all the way up through the end here with Greedo,
Uh-huh.
is one of the reasons that I went when I saw this in the theater on the re-release. I was like, fuck this shit. And I was like, whatever. It was 97, 98, so I was
Yeah.
12, 13. I'm not old enough shouldn't be old enough to be mad about that stuff, but I'm watching it and I'm like, I've watched this movie 200 times on this exact VHS tape that's above my head here out of frame. Like, I've watched it so many fucking times
Why?
because it's fucking
Who,
Star
no,
Wars.
like who was it? Dad?
No, my parents bought it.
It's on my own time.
I just watched it. I remember the first time watching this movie, and I don't remember a lot of my childhood. I remember watching and just being like, with the crispy critter aunt and uncle and all this. I was just like, this is fucking amazing stuff. Like, I was
This-
just blown away from frame one.
Yeah,
You were a nerd from
absolutely.
the gate.
But this
Yeah.
is the type of shit that hooks me because I wanted to know background stories on all these people, all these races.
Who showed you it for the first time?
No idea. I don't have a memory of not watching this.
You know what's crazy? I think I remember watching. I don't remember where I watched it. I think it might have been in kindergarten. And I went to a school called Broadway Christian School.
Oh.
It was,
and they're like, it's Jesus.
Mhm.
yeah, I'm watching it, like thinking about it now. I'm like, Christian school showing Star Wars? I don't know.
Well, if
about
anybody's
that.
Jesus, it's Darth Vader because he started off as a good guy. He went through all the torture in the desert and he dies and comes back and saves the day.
But it's like if Jesus became a murderer in the middle.
Who says he wasn't? We don't know about those times.
But like, I think it was at a Christian school watching it on, because we used to have a day, 1 or 2 days a week where they would show movies, and a lot of it was Disney. That's where I saw Bambi and all that stuff. But I'm almost 100% positive the first time I saw this was there.
Weird, but that's cool.
But this is just a great scene because it's just all these crazy aliens that don't come back. It's not like they designed
Well,
it. I mean, they do in books and then they come back later shows and movies and stuff like that. But I mean, as far as like this movie goes,
I say this is our first look at the Ithorians, the big slug.
That's the
What did you call them? Slugface in Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
We see Ithorians. We just talked about the fucking dog guy. Duros.
Who's
that's
the dude
Cad
with the
Bane.
nutsack on his chin?
Ponda Baba.
That starts a fight with.
That's Ponda Baba. He's in a. Do you know the race? I've said it before, but
No,
Aquilish.
Walrus Man.
Aquilish.
Aquilish.
Walrus Man.
Why do you call him a walrus man? He's got nuts on his chin.
Are you talking about? Oh, you must be talking about
the dude
Cornelius Evazan,
Pigface.
the one that
the
talks.
one's next to Pigface.
There's one that looks like a walrus.
He's got nuts on his chin.
Are you googling Ponda Baba?
I'm gonna Google Ponda Baba.
I should have brought my action figures.
Stop.
No, that's a walrus.
That's a fly with a nutsack on his chin.
I mean,
That's the next Jeff Goldblum movie.
Yes.
that's a walrus. People, you can't
That's-
really see it, but come
That's
on.
a fly with a
Just
nutsack
look up
on his
Ponda
chin.
Baba
Google Ponda Baba
and sound it out.
I'm sure it spells
Did,
exactly the way it sounds. It's
we-
phonetic.
The bartender doesn't want droids in there.
Yeah.
Probably had some trouble during the Clone Wars.
Well, there's that, but then I was also thinking because in
Mando.
is it Mando where they go into there's a droid bar
Yeah.
that serves specifically like droid stuff, which is actually just some kind of like oil.
Right, but the
Whatever.
fact that this guy just doesn't want him in there
Okay.
is probably 'cause there's.
I mean, this is Tatooine. It's a lot like Arizona. They're gonna be like, we don't need certain people.
yeah, you can wait outside, and there
If you
is-
come in here, I still come in here looking for you.
Ugh.
It's just a reused
Sorry.
prop. It's just a reused prop, but one of the dispensers in the bar is an IG head.
Is it?
Yeah. So I like to think that this bartender hates droids because the IG unit came to kill him, and he fucked him up. It's like, well, now your head spits out fucking spotchka. It's like drinking from the skulls of your enemies.
That's kind of a baller move right there.
It's kind of, instead of drinking from it, though, you serve from it.
Yeah, that's even
Whitney,
better.
do you want some spotchka from the skull of my enemy?
Yes, I do.
All right.
But Cornelius Evazan, who's the pig face guy that's hanging out with Ballsack Walrus, we'll
I'm
call
wanted
him.
on 12 systems.
Yeah, and that line right there, I'm wanted on 12 systems. The death sentence on 12
yeah,
systems.
that's right. I'm a wanted man.
Um,
That sentence on 12 systems.
that led to at least one book. It might have been a series of books, but I know that he's like basically like a Nazi scientist, right?
Yeah,
Going
pretty
around
much.
like gluing shit onto people and
Taking
just,
things off of them.
yeah.
We see some of his handiwork in the Solo movie. It's a chick that just like from the eyes up is gone. It's just a flat robot head. That's his
Oh.
work.
Wow.
Yeah, she's like doing like serving at
yeah, I do
Jarvis's
remember that.
place.
Paul Bettany.
Jarvis, yeah.
Paul Bettany, yes, thank you. Could have also went with Vision since Jarvis doesn't have a body, but but yeah, I don't know. I know that they got a whole series of things out of that
Oh yeah.
of him being a war criminal.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And they're in Solo as well.
Cool.
And Rogue One.
Or sorry, in Rogue One, not Solo.
Oh yeah,
They're
it's
in
just
Rogue
his
One.
handiwork in Solo.
Yeah,
They're
that's
in
right.
Rogue One. Get the fuck out of my way.
And they just barely get off Jeddah.
Yeah.
And they head right here. I mean, we're not far off.
Yeah.
Between Rogue One and the beginning of Rogue
Because that
One
was
and
like
here.
2 days before this.
Yeah. So they're just like at the bar reading about Jeddah being blowed up. They're like, we were just fucking there. Holy shit. It's a good thing you had to pee. And you didn't want to pee on Jeddah. I don't like to pee on strange planets, dude.
No, I don't.
We gotta go home.
It's like a shipbreak from American Pie.
I can only shit at my house. We're in another fucking galaxy, dude.
Well,
We've got faster than light travel.
I don't know what
dude.
to tell you. You need to get me home.
Hope you get a refresher on that ship.
But we get what's on another one of my favorite shirts that I couldn't find. I have too many shirts in there. It's probably in my laundry basket. Mos Eisley Cantina, where our friends don't like you, and we don't like you either.
I wear your Tatooine shirt a lot.
I know you stole it.
Yep.
Also my
Wretched hive of villainy and
also my Kermit and Piggy as
Jabba.
Salacious Crumb and Jabba the Hutt.
Yep.
You guess who's who.
Use your imagination on that.
I almost
one,
wore that
people.
shirt today also.
I had a Star Wars shirt on. It was a really cool like Sin City thing, Sith City.
Yeah.
And it's the whole poster where he's holding the gun down, except for it's Darth Vader with the lightsaber, and you got the Emperor back there, and Darth Maul, and
Pretty dope.
but then I was making waffles for breakfast, and I ended up dropping
He made me
syrup all over my
Making
shirt.
waffles. Hey Shrek. Hey Shrek. When I talk about Star Wars, I'm gonna make waffles.
And I spilled syrup on my shirt, and
And that is all I've had to eat today.
Just waffles and some
Yes.
beer.
Yes.
Lucky.
they were big waffles.
Yeah. Love waffles.
Obi-Wan fucking cuts this dude's arm off. Someone's arm off.
Yeah, Ponda Baba's.
Who's got a hairy hand? So he's a hairy walrus?
He had the orange jacket.
Yeah.
Because they do show the hand, and it looks like a wolf hand,
Mm-hmm.
which always confused me when I was younger, but I was like, it's
I think
aliens.
we just creature. Like, hey, just throw together a creature for me. We'll make
I
a
thought
backstory.
it was the pink face guy.
Nuh-uh.
Oh,
No, yeah, it's
It's an orange
it's
jacket.
the walrus.
Yeah.
it's the
It's
ball
the
face.
walrus.
So
I'm
they
the
meet-
walrus.
they meet Han
Cuckoo,
and Chewie.
cuckoo.
Cuckoo, choo.
They meet Han and Chewie and have their little discussion there and negotiate prices and whatnot. Go
For
meet
that
me.
price, we can almost buy a new ship. Well, who's going to fly it? You?
Well, I'm not such a bad pilot.
I'm good.
I'm good, see?
Sorry, I'm picking on it because I love this movie and I've watched this so many times that you don't need to idolize it, everything in it.
Right.
Like, you can recognize the shitty parts. Like, when people talk crap about the newer Star Wars things, they forget these movies. They were idolized, but they weren't amazing. They're not, like, they weren't perfect.
Yeah. No, a lot, like you said, these aren't professionals, most of them.
Yeah. This is a bunch of people doing favors to George
I'm
Lucas
a
for the most
professional.
part.
You're a professional.
I is a
I'm
professional. Oh, did we miss them getting into town and doing the Jedi
Oh,
mind
yeah,
trick?
yeah. Alec Guinness does the Jedi mind trick, and like he has to
I can't
step him
believe we
through
made
every
through it.
word.
Uh-huh.
Move along.
Like, what does that mean?
He
he's-
only does it the one time, and he does it he's sitting like this, and he just does this,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's like, these are not the droids you were looking for.
So I'm wondering if
You're
does
gonna let
he-
us go
Is
now.
he mind tricking everybody around him, or are these guys watching like just you Jedi tricking Derek? And
Everybody.
I'm like, what the hell? Why is he saying everything she's saying?
Yeah, he's got to be doing it to everybody.
Okay.
I mean,
He's
he's
amazing.
powerful.
He is. He's technically on the midichlorian level. He's not that strong, but he to me is one of the most perfect Jedis.
Well, he's at this point, as far as they know, at least he's one of the only ones left. So.
Yeah. Turns out he's not.
no, there's 100 of
plenty.
them out there, but
Yeah, what's
Um,
Ahsoka up to right now?
but then we have Greedo confronting Han.
She's in another galaxy.
Not yet.
Are you sure?
We have Greedo confronting Han, and the very famous change for the remastered, whatever he called them,
Yeah.
the redone ones, with Han and them having this discussion, and Han is like, this original version is just, it makes him a badass.
Yes, and it makes him a character that like he's not a true good guy. What would his character be in D&D?
Chaotic neutral.
Chaotic neutral.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
because
that's
he does
perfect.
what's
You
good
need
for
that.
Why
him.
do I know that?
Because you've played enough now.
No, I've never played it.
Oh well,
You
that's
spent
just marriage.
too much time with me.
Yeah, but that's the point. Is like he's a badass, like you said. He would be this. He's a survivor.
Yes.
You know, he's been on his own since he was a wee bab on Corellia. So they changed it to that he had to do that stupid duck out of the way that Derek was talking about, and it missed. And now he's fighting a retaliation because George didn't want his hero to be that kind of guy.
It's this scene, except for I changed it.
Yeah.
Just this casual. That's right when he's shooting him too.
Uh huh.
But he just happens to have a glass of whiskey now.
It's an old west. It's an old western like move. You know what I mean? This gunfighter that's playing it cool, but he's got his gun on the table. Like, what do you mean you're gonna take me out? And then shoots him before he gets a chance.
He
It's
doesn't even
perfect.
wait for him to draw his gun. He takes this dude out because he's fucking savage.
And Greedo's talking about it. Like he's not taking him in.
yeah.
He's like, I've been waiting for this, dude. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Ooh,
Wow,
ooh boy.
that's I'm seeing a pattern here. Brutus says it to Jananana
Uh huh.
and doesn't
Don't
do
tell
it.
people you're gonna kill him.
No.
Don't be a fucking Bond villain.
Yeah, just do it.
Just kill him.
Like, I'm gonna tie you to this table, turn on this laser, and have it slowly move you toward it while I tell you my entire plan.
For 5 points, because it matters. Do you know Greedo's race?
Greedoian.
Rhodian.
Gargatian.
Rhodian. Damn it, I did know
Yeah,
it
it's
somewhere
it's
in there, but
there was a semblance of it in that answer.
I knew it because you've said it before. We
Uh-huh.
talked about Baby Greedo, who's not Greedo.
Yeah, Wald or Wade.
Warwick Davis.
There's a comic that had come out that Vader meets them when they're older, and they don't know it's Annie, and he ends up saving their life. He brushes off like it doesn't mean anything, but he goes back to his chamber and meditates.
Oh, with Wizard Kid and Warwick Davis.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Kitster.
Kitster. I'll never remember.
Kitster.
I'm sorry, what?
Episode 1, Phantom Menace,
No,
a
no,
long
no.
time ago in a
Right,
galaxy far, far away.
But, so Vader does something.
Vader comes back to Tatooine much, much later, like probably probably around here ish, like before this, and he meets them. They don't know it's who he is.
Right.
The settlement they're at ends up getting attacked by these monster bug things, and he saves them specifically. And then he ends up taking the town away from the overlord governor that was there.
But he's doing it for the emperor.
He's doing it for them. He just has to pretend it's for the emperor. It's just showing
There's still humanity in him. He's
Okay.
saving his little friends that helped him build his
And
pod
this is
racer.
in
a
the
comic.
book?
A
Oh, okay.
comic. Yeah.
But so they go to the ship. They're trying to get away.
The
The
Millennium
Emperor's
Falcon, which I've been criticized for saying Falcon, but that's how we hear it for the very first time when Harrison Ford says it.
It's a falcon.
He doesn't
Depends
say
on
Falcon.
how you say it.
But he
Yeah.
says Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Princess Leia has been Leia, and there's like 3 different versions of her name
Luau.
in this fucking movie.
Princess Luau. Ooh, I want to meet that one.
It was Leia,
Suckling pig.
and Leia.
It's the same costume and
With
the same
coconut.
hair from Jedi, except for instead of the gold bra, it's a coconut
Bra, grass skirt.
grass skirt.
Yeah.
But it's all lined in gold.
Yeah, I like that. Fetish unlocked.
Unlocked.
Well, the Hawaiian version.
Okay. Fetish revisited.
It's
Fetish
tomato,
is
potato.
smashed up.
It's just Lilo's older sister dressed like Leia.
Ooh. I like that.
Yeah, dude. From the cartoon, not the movie.
It's Tia
Yeah, the
Carrera.
version that's thicker than a Snicker.
Mhm.
Anyway, I just this is another one that's just one of those lines that's burned in my brain, even though it's nothing. When they're trying to get to the ship and it's a stormtrooper, stop that ship, blast them. This is the way he says, blast them.
Blast them. It's fun. it's a fucking Flash Gordon thing, you know.
Yeah.
And you know what's terrible? I write cuss words so often on my phone that when I wrote that line, my phone autocorrected to stop that shit, blast them.
Like, no, I'm actually not saying that right now. Stop that shit. Blast them.
And we have Leia meeting Tarkin, and I have a fun thing about this.
Was it
So-
the fact that he's wearing slippers?
Yeah, we only see Tarkin in full body once, and it's like a wide shot, and he's standing perfectly still because the boots they had for him were too small and uncomfortable. So Lucas, being a nice guy, was like, "Yeah, man, you could just wear whatever you want." He was like, "Cool, I'm wearing fuzzy slippers." So while he's here,
They're in a museum.
are they?
Yeah.
While he's here telling Leia, like, "I'm gonna kill your entire family and everyone you've ever known," he's wearing fuzzy slippers. And she had a hard time, I guess, taking it seriously because one, she said Peter Cushing is just a fucking delightful person in
Yeah.
real life, and then two, he's wearing fuzzy slippers. So while they're doing this scene, she just kept like laughing.
She slips in and out of her British accent, if you notice.
I didn't know she had a British accent.
She doesn't. But
Oh.
in this episode, in this scene, she like, I recognized your foul stench. I should have known you were holding Vader's leash. It's because she was extremely nervous and started emulating Peter Cushing without knowing it.
Oh, I do that too.
But in the, especially like he said, like Peter Cushing's a delight, you know, and so she's enjoying this and just starts doing the British.
Well,
In
and
the book-
presumably, if you're an actor in 1977, you know, even if you're American, if you're trying to be an actor, you probably know who Peter Cushing is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I mean, he was not an
Well,
American
she-
star; he was a British star, but he
Her
was a
lineage,
star.
she definitely knows.
You say that you said
Her
earlier.
mom is a big person.
like
That's rude.
6'5".
giant woman.
But in the book, from a certain point of view, she's actually mocking him. That's why she does it.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I thought I recognized your foul stench crumpets.
Oh,
Spot of tea,
look
Governor
at, look
Tarkin.
at my death crumpet. Debbie Reynolds. Okay, I know that name.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I know it
She's
because she's Carrie Fisher's mom.
Yep, that's the best work she's ever done. Star Wars podcast.
Yeah, I was. I know a lot about movies that came out from about 1977 on.
Yeah. Nothing good came out before this.
I mean, Jaws.
Just kidding. Do better with this. Do better with it, laser.
But yeah, he's like, hey, we're gonna blow up your planet unless you provide us with another target. So
Mhm.
she's quick on her feet. She's like, hey, yeah, Dantooine, because she knows there's an abandoned base there.
You get to go visit that in KOTOR 1 and 2. Actually, you get to go to Dantooine.
the fuck is KOTOR?
Knights of the
Knights
Old
of the Old
Republic.
Republic.
Sorry, video game.
Oh,
Really fun Star Wars lore video. Like it's a.
If it
turn-based,
wasn't
it's
so
slow.
outdated and it's like play style because it's from like original Xbox, you'd
Yeah.
probably like it because it's the same people that made
Dragon Age,
Dragon
Mass
Age, and
Effect.
Mass
I played-
Effect,
I
and you
played
play you
Dragon
love
Age.
Dragon
Yeah.
Age. It's a little different, but it's the same people. And
Yeah.
it's a similar
You
story.
can romance your companions and
Yeah.
yada yada. It was a really fun game of time. But he nailed it. If you play it now, you're like, this is janky and slow, and I'm not having a good time.
Yeah, because it was one of the first of its kind.
It was getting a remaster, but now that's halted to a complete stop. So,
like everything Star Wars involved.
yeah,
Nah.
show me a fucking trailer.
But I love. She's like, yeah, it's Dantooine. I'm sorry, everybody. It's Dantooine, and he's
Mm.
like, good, blow it up.
You are trusting.
What?
You trusted Peter Cushing in slippers.
Sorry, Moff Tarkin. That's not a good guy's name.
Yeah,
Grand Moff Tarkin is not a good name.
Grand Muff. He's got a great muff.
Oh fuck, I should know his first name.
Peter.
Probably like Ignatius or something.
Peter Tarkin. So they blow up Alderaan, and I mean it looks good. It doesn't look, when they use the weapon in Rogue One and they're only blowing up pieces of planets, it looks way cooler, but you're talking CG versus
Right, we're talking
But
77.
they blew up a fucking planet. I remember the first time watching this, like, oh shit.
Yeah, that
I
planet
felt
went
like
boom.
Charlton Heston.
What you
You did it!
Oh.
You maniacs!
You
blew it up!
Planet of the Apes.
Yep. That's right.
Yep.
Sick of our shit.
And
No,
then-
I just remember now.
But like just to off track it, like the special effects in this were invented for a lot of this.
Oh yeah, ILM exists because of this movie.
Uh-huh.
There's actually a really cool, I think, a multi-part
this is-
documentary on Disney Plus that's about industrial light and magic. And
This is them hanging a planet up in pitch black and blowing it up.
yeah, with like dynamite inside
Yeah.
it, right?
Like they're doing a practical miniature,
yeah.
really.
Same with the shoo shoo.
Oh, absolutely, the
And
shoo.
that's the other thing. Like a lot of the re-releases replaced a lot of stuff with CG versions, just like they did when they re-released Star Trek on DVD. They replaced a bunch of shit. And it's
Imagine being one of those people that worked on it, and when you're trying to show your kid, like, watch this trench run. This is where Dad actually. I had an X-wing on a stick in front of the camera, and I was doing that. Now all of a sudden, you don't get to show your kid your work. You're like, well, this is where he put this CG thing to go through.
Yeah, I
This is
think
where
people
some
need to stop
asshole-
fucking with the shit.
Not to
like
mention, it
that.
just doesn't look good.
no, yeah, the CG version of everything. And I feel like they left some stuff, but a lot of it was updated. And even if they left like original effects, they went in and polished it with CG.
Yeah.
Because there's parts like when Darth Vader's TIE fighter moves a certain way, you see like kind of artifacting behind it, because they're shooting it and they're layering it on top of the starscape that they have. So you see like artifacting behind it, especially on this 4K version. But of course they're going to go in and wipe all that out, but then it just makes everything look weird.
Yeah.
I just think it
When
looks so
they're-
much more real when it's real.
When they're in Mos Eisley, like you can see on his little speeder, they have it like completely blocked out, like he's hovering or whatever. There's a car that has a low enough drag, like the body is dragged down, but you can still see the wheels underneath it.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
another
and I was
speeder.
like,
Yeah.
Well, and you can tell when the speeder's pulling up, it's like, like
Mhm.
it's definitely on wheels.
Because
with
they're
shocks.
using mirrors to hide that.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it was. Just to reflect the sand back and make it look like there was nothing under it.
oh, is that what it was? It looked
Uh-huh.
like somebody took an eraser to it.
I'm pretty sure it's just mirrors.
When we had and the versions we have are a mixture of what's on Disney Plus and other releases that have been
They went with
changed
the best looking of.
each
Yeah.
scene or each shot. So I mean, it may be that somebody actually went in and erased it because they're like, well, that was updated, but it still looks fine.
Okay.
So it could be that it was actually like erased there, but it did look pretty much the same. I always took it as like it's a little blurry there,
Mhm.
which might be because of the mirrors, but I always took it as like, oh, it's because it's like energy stuff coming down.
Yeah,
when I was
that
a
makes
kid, I
sense.
never
Yeah.
questioned.
It
makes
would be
all
that
the
would be the
sense.
repulsor lift.
Yeah,
that
there
you're
you go,
thinking of.
repulsor,
Uh-huh.
energy stuff.
I've read
And,
too many of these.
You know,
things.
when we had originally talked about when we got to these episodes, Jack had pitched like, well, one of us watched the 4K despecialized, one of us watched the Disney Plus version, and we talk about the differences, but I just felt like that's not fair to somebody.
Yeah, somebody's losing out big.
Yeah. So fuck that. I'll never watch those again. I might put it on in the background if I don't feel like putting in my disc. But like if I've got a background movie
When
going
do you
on,
ever not put in your disc?
well, that's what I'm saying. If I've got a background movie going
When
on,
it's
that
in a
means
box.
there's a party going on or something, right?
Yeah.
Which
just
means, like,
casting to a TV.
I could walk by and be like, well, I'll just pop this disc in, then I'm already standing.
Yeah. We got to get you a way to put music over those now.
Because the streaming version that I took that opening scroll from is definitely updated.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they're using it's whatever streaming. So thank you guys for tuning in for episode 4. It's actually episode 16.1, but episode 4, A New Hope.
Way to confuse me.
Yeah, I like to be confusing, just like Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But we again, like Jack said at the beginning, we went long, so we're splitting this into 2 parts. That was part 1.
Good place to stop right here.
Part 2 is coming in 2 more weeks, so tune in for that. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you again.
Thank you. I shot first.
Yeah.